Welcome to InDesign. This is probably the first time for many of you to be in a InDesign environment. So for our last assignment, you all gonna create your portfolio. If you choose the bare minimum approach, you will create at least one composite layout that's made out of two facing pages. So right here it's 11 over here, 17 over here. And we want to have two facing pages. That's going to create kind of an elongated portfolio layout. But the cover page for the portfolio is always single page. You can see how there's a master template here set up. And you can always drag these templates here to create more facing pages. Or single pages and so on. So for those of you who would like to work on more than just one combined page, you will continue to add your pages like that. So let's just start from the beginning and see how we get here, because it's important for us to set up the InDesign file in a way that's going to allow you to have the flexibility to look at everything at once and also to make changes to your Photoshop file from within the InDesign environment. So that can be done with Illustrator as well. So here's the link panel. You can go to Window and make sure your links panel is checked. So when you click on the files that we placed into Illustrator, into InDesign or Illustrator, actually this works in Illustrator as well. We can basically click on Edit Original right here, and it's gonna trigger the Photoshop if that file you place in InDesign was created in Photoshop. Same with Illustrator. We can place the Illustrator file within InDesign and then select that file and then say Edit Original, and that's going to allow us to go right back to the original raw file and be able to make edits. So that's going to help with file organization tremendously. So let's just start from scratch. We'll go to File, Document, New Document here. And then we know that the assignment asks you to create 11 by 17 pages and then create a poster out of two facing pages. So we want to change the units to inches so you have more control over what you're doing, and the height is 11, the width is 17, and we want it to be the landscape orientation. And then just say create. Okay, now you can see how automatically it's giving us the cover page, but we can always drag the template over here to create two facing pages. Okay, so now we want to place our files, the native files. Of course, you can place images inside of Illustrator, but if you place the original files, like I said before, you're gonna have access to your Photoshop file from within InDesign to be able to make edits. So let's go to Place. And then we want to navigate to the files you want to import. So let's just bring in our eye level perspective in its original Photoshop format, and then say Open. Right here, it's going to show you all the layers, and you can choose to have the image or choose to have the different color format, or you can choose to have different layers. And then oftentimes it's going to give you the option to select the layer combination as well, if the layer combination is set up in Photoshop. So I'm going to bring in this one, which doesn't have the layer comp set up, and then I'm going to bring in another one that has layer combination set up and show you what layer combination can do. So let's just insert this one, and then we just click it. So if we use the selection tool right here, we can make this window bigger, but notice how even if you make that window bigger, the actual image did not become bigger. So to make the actual image become bigger, we need to select this other direct selection tool that will allow us to change the size of your image. If you hold the shift key down, you'll make sure that you're not changing. You can make sure that you're not changing the proportion of your image. And then you can see how the initial bounding box that we manipulated with the selection tool kind of functions like a crop box. And then the direction selection tool allows you to manipulate, to scale, to transform the images within. So now you can see how once we place this native Photoshop file into InDesign, we now see this file showing up here. You can click on it to see all the attributes, all the information, and you can choose to relink it from, if you have saved the file from the library, you can relink it, and then you can edit the original, which is going to trigger the Photoshop environment and allow you to edit the Photoshop file. So let's go back to InDesign, and then we're going to place another file that has layer combinations set up. So let's just find a diagram Photoshop file. So you can see how in this case we're allowed to choose a different layer comp state, and we're going to show you how to set up layer comps in Photoshop. So if you don't set up layer comps are not going to be an option for you to choose from within InDesign when you insert your Photoshop file. So let's just say I want to choose the composite diagrams background and then say okay. So in this case, I can oh, I think I just lost my file. Let's just do it again. Diagrams. Okay, I'm gonna choose right here. So this one fits perfectly because I set it up to be the perfect size in Photoshop, and so now we can kind of get our first preliminary glance at how everything goes together as a composite poster. And right now I have not made up my mind on whether I want to have a white background and then white lines, or have a white background. And I'm not sure if I want to tone back all the colors to make them more subdued. So all this can be saved as different layers within Photoshop, so you can turn the different layer comps on and off to really compare the different options of combining graphics. So we're going to talk more about layer comps and also talk about how we place native Photoshop files into Illustrators and Illustrators files into InDesign. See you in the next video.